Now by our political panel, Maura Gillespie, founder and principal at Blue Stack Strategies, and Alvin Jordan of Rock Solutions. Easy for me to say. It's some eye-popping numbers here. I'll tell you, Maura, you look at the amount of cash that Donald Trump brought in versus what he spent. Brought in $200 million. He spent $210 over the course of the year. This is all of the committees and the campaign put together. $50 million of it spent on lawyers. Is he going to have a money problem through the campaign? Because he's bleeding cash right now. Absolutely.
And I think for the Republicans that are running for office, that are looking to win over the House and take back the Senate and things of that nature, increase the majority in the House, they've got to be frustrated, too, because not only does Donald Trump suck out all the oxygen in the room, he's also taking all the money. He's not out there looking to campaign with them. He's demanding full loyalty from Republicans who are running for office, any office, really. And then what do they get in return for that?
Right.
So I think it's pretty interesting. And, after the E. Jean Carroll trial, we know how much money he could potentially have to spend.
Sure.
And there were fundraiser emails coming out from people like Ronnie Jackson out of Texas saying Republicans are losing in the campaigning to Democrats. It's not even close. We need help. I mean, things are getting a little desperate.
It's really something when you consider, Alvin, Joe Biden reserving $250 million in ads for the general election campaign. I don't even know where you find that much inventory, but he's ready to spend, and he's got the money. As we learned in the last 24 hours, his affiliated committees, along with the DNC, raised $97 million in the fourth quarter. They start this year with $117 million in the bank. Now, if Donald Trump's here, he's going to tell you money doesn't matter, right? He's the king of earned media. But what does Joe Biden do with this cash to make it a real advantage?
He spends it. I mean, he has to spend it where it matters also, and I think that's what we're seeing. I mean, even today, we saw him start the day here in D.C. at the prayer breakfast and then hop over to Michigan, and he's ending it in Delaware, I believe. And so I think, just with everything that I think he faces from, kind of border to national security all the way to funding for the war, he has a lot of ground to either secure or to make up.
Yeah.
And I think that, as evident by the amount that he spent also in the fourth quarter, the last 3 months, that, no pun intended, that trumped the first, handful of months of the year by way of his spending shows us that they're going to put that money to good use, and I cannot blame them.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, it's interesting when you look at who some of the biggest donors included. It's not just the folks that we've been talking about. It's Hollywood. You see this? Steven Spielberg and Kate Capshaw, his wife, each gave $929,000. George Soros is on the list. Eric Schmidt, Shonda Rhimes, who created Grey's Anatomy. Isn't that not a narrative that Donald Trump can seize on here and say, look, I've got $35 checks from real people, maybe spending them on lawyers.
Well,
that's what they want him to spend it on.
And that, to me, is kind of, again, shocking because it's not for anyone else but Donald Trump. I mean, he's been very honest about where that money is going. It is to save himself, not to advance a majority, not to advance Republican principles. It is just to get back at people who try to put him in jail. I mean, that's really where his focus is. And those hard-earned dollars that he is taking from middle America, from the people who believe in him, it harkens back to the 2016 election when he said, I could stand there on Fifth Avenue and shoot someone and they would still love me. I mean, he is just showing us that time and time again, the power that he has over those people. And to me, it's really sad, and it's abuse of their support and their trust. And again, for a self-proclaimed millionaire, billionaire who needs their $30 or $35 here or there to fund his legal bills, it's pretty sad.
I want to ask you both about South Carolina. We were talking about this with Nia Malika Henderson a short time ago. Not good look for Nikki Haley with a few weeks out. This is almost a 30-point spread still. Is the Republican nominating contest over? Joe Biden is acting like it is.
Well, I mean, if we look back to New Hampshire, it seemed right after that they declared both, from the Biden camp and the Trump camp, that the election, at least for them, had started. And I don't disagree with that. And I actually thought that it would be not in poor taste, but just a terrible look for Nikki Haley to go and then also have her home state kind of, not go in her favor. But it seems that, people there still, I think, back the thought of her coming home, essentially, to see if she could garner some more votes. And we know that she obviously is in it for the proverbial long haul, whatever that looks like now. But I don't necessarily know that it, outside of making Trump spend more of that money, I don't know that it necessarily is helpful.
You wonder if that might be a strategy for somebody here. But look, an embarrassing loss at home could really change the dynamic here. We can talk about it in advance. You don't really know sometimes till it's over. Could she do irreparable harm to her reputation to run again in 28, for instance, if she goes through with this and gets wiped out at home by Donald Trump?
I don't think so, because, again, the landscape that we're faced with as a Republican Party is just so tough right now, because a large chunk of the party is unwilling to look beyond Donald Trump. And it's hard to do anything when you can't see beyond him. Again, the man is getting up there in age. I'm not wishing anything poorly on the former president, but it's a matter of just reality that we have to grapple with, that he will not be around forever. He will not live forever. And so this moment needs to be addressed. It's so for her, I think she stays in it because who knows what will happen. Again, she's right when she continues to say on the campaign trail that a majority of the American people do not want to have a rematch of 2020, although that's looking like what we're going to have. But I think for her purposes, she's staying in it because the alternative is simply Joe Biden versus Donald Trump, and they're running so that the other one isn't president. So it's not great for all of us.
It's the who knows what could happen strategy, Alvin. Isn't that Dean Phillips' strategy?
Sure, but I think I don't know. I think it's important to kind of take a step back, and I think you raise a great point in the sense that it is not good for the American people when both of the, at least seemingly, candidates are running to stop the other one, when neither are the opinion or true pick of the actual, American people. And so, again, I think we're just kind of caught in the crosshairs, and the money will need to be spent that they both, have.
I'll tell you, there's going to be a lot of commercials. Trump saying yesterday he would absolutely block Nippon Steel's deal to buy U.S. steel.
It's a matter of do they believe him or not, right? And I think Alvin brought up a good point. It's one thing to do an endorsement. It's a whole other game to get people out to the ballot box, right? To get them out to vote. And, Trump is already touting that he has squashed this, border deal. Look what I can do without even being in power. But do you believe him? Do you trust him? And I think that that's a conversation that voters are having, and they look to their union to get some guidance, because when we're talking about an uninspired electorate, we, the people, are the ones who are, we lose in that scenario, but we're also lost. And for a lot of people who maybe, we talk about independence and we consider them to be moderates. We're wrong in that, because what independent now means is that they don't identify with either party, and that doesn't mean that they're in the middle. That means that they just don't know where to go, and it's super important to look to something to say, okay, where should I be going? And so for unions, having this sort of a team, a membership, you're going to go there first and try and pare down, okay, what is the better of two terrible options, to be honest?
Well, that's where no labels comes in, right? That's the lane that gets Democrats pretty worried.
Well, I agree with all of the last part of what you said, in the sense that we really are playing for it. And I think we even saw some of this in New Hampshire. The proverbial middle is really just the where should I side? I'm not necessarily drawn. And so I think that's exactly what we are watching in real time play out as far as Biden actually having a presence in Michigan. It is to secure those votes that are kind of dangling in the no man's land of it all.
Yeah, absolutely. I suspect we're going to be seeing a lot more of him. Will he not repeat the mistakes of Hillary Clinton when it comes to...
He has the money.
He has the money. And likely already up on the air. $250 million. When does Donald Trump start putting cash into this, or just he won't have any?
He doesn't really have to. I mean, he doesn't have to. He gets attention no matter what he does.
Keep showing up at court?
He shows up, and he makes everything that he does a campaign opportunity. And it's again, it really does derail any messaging efforts that the House Republicans, Senate Republicans want to do. But he doesn't have to spend a dime to do that, because he knows he'll get the attention for it.
Earned media.
Earned media.
Turned a mugshot into a coffee mug.
Here we go. Exactly.
What
the
can you do with
T-shirts
that?
were all over New Hampshire, weren't they?
Yeah, there you go.
Maura Gillespie and Alvin Jordan, a great conversation. We thank you for the insights and a great panel here on Bloomberg.